My brother.
Good evening. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get approval of the agenda, please?
So moved.
Support? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we will move on to public participation. We have several tonight. Thank you for being here. I just want to remind folks of a couple of things per our board policy. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer, and we ask that you announce your name, address, and affiliation if you're comfortable with that. And then each person has 5 minutes to speak. I'm asking Scooter to help keep time for us. And then just a reminder that the board doesn't comment. We listen and then we'll address it at a later date. So the first person that I have is Jackie. Ms. Cummings, would you like to come up? Oh, hit the.
Okay, my name is Jackie Cummings, 25483 Meridian Road, Grosse Ile, Michigan, 48138. Okay, I'm here tonight to make a comment and to ask a favor. I think I better start with ask a favor. Being an old kindergarten teacher, I'm always looking for the best things for the kids. And right now, when you go down Grays Drive, and you get down to the bottom of Grays Drive, and you want to turn left and go north, I've watched this for so long, and I'm thinking, please, can you have somebody cut that corner, all that brush and tree that are starting to come up? Because those kids go out, and then they get a little bit out, and then it's like, I'm just waiting for some kid to get hurt in their truck or car. And I don't understand why maybe Keith Lehman or somebody can go in there and cut it and chip it and get it so that the kids can see. What are your feelings on that? Oh, you can't answer me? Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, so my comment is then, I'm very, very, very disappointed in that scoreboard. I'm like, what were you thinking? I mean, you didn't even think of the track team? I mean, you've got kids out there where you could have put up lanes, put the track person. Why did you keep it the same? I thought we voted for a millage to enhance things and make them better. But I don't see that happening, and I sure don't hope. I hope that you have not got the cheapest turf you could to put out there. I guess that's enough for me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Matt Race, do you want to come up next? Sure.
Alrighty. Good evening. My name is Matthew Race. I'm the new president of the Grosse Ile Education Association after Cindy retired last month. We are here primarily to address the presentation that was given at the last month's school board meeting by John for an update on contract negotiations. But before we move into that, on behalf of the educators in this district, we first want to say congratulations to Audrey for the appointment to the superintendent position. I've been here 9 years, and I've known Audrey for almost all 9 of those, and I have had several meetings with her, and she is genuine, authentic, cares about kids, cares about instruction, and she deserved that appointment. So on behalf of the rest of us, congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I was contacted by numerous colleagues of mine a month ago while I was out of town regarding the presentation that was given by John. And having since watched it, there are a few things that we would like to address. Because those things are, there's a lot in that. I'm going to address a few things, and then Nick will address the last, and he and Jen will move on to the solutions that we have long-term. But one of the two things that I want to address to begin is the declining enrollment aspect that he mentioned. So he mentioned that, we are a declining enrollment district, and sometimes when that happens, the attrition rate of teachers doesn't match the declining enrollment. But that hasn't been true in this district. So 2 years ago, according to the budget presentation last month, we lost 61 kids. But there were 3 retirement positions that were not filled. That was Katie Hart, Marcia Daly, and Karen Hurley. Last summer, the district lost 31 kids, but again, 3 teaching positions were not filled. Maria Grapentine, Laura McIntyre, and Haley Grass. And then at the budget presentation last month, we are projected, probably conservatively, to lose 71 kids. But as of right now, we are not replacing 4 teaching positions: Chelsea Bogart, Elise Metrick, Doug Shade, and Eric Flood. In each of those 3 summers, the number of teaching positions lost is greater than the teacher-to-student ratio of the declining enrollment. So in fact, there's been a net savings, if you will, in that loss of attrition compared to the declining enrollment. So we needed to point that out. And the last thing I'm going to point out before I hand it off to Nick is John spent an enormous amount of time talking about raises and how much money somebody would be making now compared to 3 years ago. So there's a few things I want to address in that. Number one, there was some mention of the compounding effect of steps and salary percent raises. However, what that does not account for are retirements and resignations. In fact, the percentage of salaries and benefits of employees of this district as a percentage of the whole budget has remained relatively stagnant. And in fact, that compounding effect is the same burden, if not even greater, on the employees of this district who were frozen in the years that they won't get that salary back. All right. B, the next thing he mentioned regarding raises is that each step is about a 5%-ish raise on their salary. However, what he didn't mention is that those steps are typically neutralized by the fact that we always have retirees at the top and those are replaced with new teachers at the bottom. So historically, those steps, not talking about percentage raises, but those steps are typically neutralized by that effect and don't present a big hit on a budget on a yearly basis. And the last thing that he mentioned regarding raises is that there was a $580,000 contract settlement that we made in September. What he didn't mention is that accounts for barely a third of the $1.6 million budget revenue increase that you saw at the budget presentation last month. So those are the two things I'm going to address. Again, I'm going to have Nick come up, address healthcare, and then he and Jen will move into solutions that we have as an employee group. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Matt. Nick, would you like to come up?
Hello. So picking up where Matt was had left off, talking about health insurance being a big topic both during the budget presentation and during John's presentation to you all. As you're aware, this is a self-funded district. We, the union, have asked if the district wished to change to be a fully insured district many times during past negotiations, but the district has declined. Indeed, being self-funded has worked to the district's advantage as a net positive nearly every year since I've been here. I was hired the same year that Matt was. However, now that it may end up being the negative, we do not feel that it's fair to characterize this as a leading problem from the district's deficit spending now. What we cannot control, and what was never mentioned during John's presentation, are the other items the district chooses to spend money on as part of your discretionary fund spending. With salaries and benefits remaining relatively stagnant as a percentage of the overall budget, this is our biggest concern. Despite all the budget concerns we are hearing, the 23-24 final amended budget that was adopted last month represents nearly the exact same fund balance that was approved on last year's final amended budget on June 27th of 2023. The union does not want to just point point out all of the problems we had with the presentation last month. We do, however, want both sides of a situation to be presented as we've done here tonight. To that end, here are some potential solutions to help the district's budget concerns. So the first solution that we have here is to stop building budgets with an anticipation of no salary increases. Especially now with the repeal of PA 54, we believe educators in Michigan are automatically guaranteed step increases for future school years unless a step freeze is agreed to. A budget with an anticipation of no salary increases makes any contract settlements reached after an initial budget much harder to balance. The second point we have here is to consider multi-year contracts. We are currently negotiating with the district 6 to 8 months out of every year. We are the only district that we are aware of that negotiates that often. Having a multi-year contract provides stability and predictability to budget for the future and saves on the constant legal fees that would accrue for those negotiations. Third, consider shortened negotiations. We've been negotiating each of the last 3 summers and into the fall. The educators of this district are now employed without a contract for the 4th time in the last 5 years. No other teacher group in the state of Michigan is currently in that situation. We don't think it takes much to understand the frustration that educators have and the disrespect they will feel when we're working without a contract so often, especially when we have, friends, neighbors, colleagues in other districts that hear, that we're on single contracts year after year and don't understand how that happens. So having a contract done before summer begins makes it easier to plan and budget for the upcoming school year and also saves the district on legal fees. Fourth, consider union central office negotiations. When the outgoing superintendent was interviewed for her position, she mentioned she had previously negotiated with the union on her own to reach common ground. Unfortunately, we never saw that happen here once. Indeed, there are many other districts where central office and unions sit down without legal counsel present, and hash out an agreement. Lawyers would typically only come in to hammer out those legal syntax parts of that agreement. Fifth, reducing central office staff. There was a lot of discussion at last month's school board meeting about our declining student enrollment. Matt had addressed how our educational staff has reduced as well. However, what wasn't discussed is how central office staff has actually increased since 2015, despite the teaching staff shrinking and the student enrollment decreasing by nearly 21%. There was no assistant superintendent position, which was recently reposted with a different title, and the human resources position shared other duties in central office with this since created full-time position. Those 2 new positions don't even account for the reduction we've seen in the student enrollment since then. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Jen Park to finish up the last bit of our statement.
Thanks, Nick. Jen, the podium is yours.
Jennifer Park, staff member, GAE representative. In conclusion, we are aware that in the last 7 weeks, Allen Park, Lincoln Park, Dearborn Heights District Number 7, and Woodhaven have all agreed to new 3-year contracts that all end with salaries 12% above our currently salary schedule. I know that you're aware that we have lost nearly 30 teachers to other districts in just the last 3 years. This does not include retirements. That represents 1/3 of the entire teaching force in the district leaving to teach elsewhere, which we all know is not acceptable in a district as proud as ours. Respectfully, the Groseal Education Association.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay. Thanks, everyone. We will move on to presentations. I'd like to ask Colin to come up and talk us through the dashboard for the bond.
Okay, yep. Good evening, everyone. So here's a Q3 update for the dashboard. So just kind of refocusing on the bond program goals and objectives, right-sizing the district, modernizing the learning spaces, safety and security, technology, arts, and athletics. We're attacking all 4 of those, in this first summer of construction. And then to the right of that, we have the cost summary. You can see current budget, the contracts that have been issued, the actuals that we've paid out currently, the remaining costs on those contracts that have been issued, the forecasted contracts for each of the budget line items, our contingency, and then our forecasted over and under for the total program. Below that, we have the cash flow finances, which shows the three series, the interest earned, the total funds available, the actuals paid, and the current funds available. Now on to some of the fun parts. Previously, I've talked a lot about design updates. We have started construction. In June, we started at the Grosse Ile Elementary addition and renovations. They started demolition of select interior renovation areas that began following the completion of the school year. Contractors began work on the new addition, the bus loop, and site improvements, and the playground design was finalized and began procurement for partial installation next fall. We also discussed furniture with vendors and got their lookbooks and conducted some interviews. This July, I skipped the high school stadium. So at the high school stadium, the contractors mobilized right after graduation. They began demolition, underground utilities, and site clearing. And then we continue to focus on procurement of the long lead items to make sure that we can open as close to the football season as possible. Then in July, at the Grosse Ile Elementary, the building addition foundations are starting to be poured. The new bus loop site work is being cut to grade and preparing for the stormwater detention system. Interior renovations of the select areas are continuing. And then we interviewed furniture vendors in July. Next month, we prepare for students to come back with Grosse Ile Elementary. So they'll be wrapping up the interior renovations for staff and students to return on time. The building addition will continue to take shape over the month of August and into the next school year. And then the bus loop will work to be prepared for student drop-off in the fall. At the high school football stadium, I skipped the high school football stadium again in July. So in July at the high school football stadium, the new light poles and the new scoreboard have been installed. The base of the field is cut to grade and the stormwater detention system is beginning to be installed. They've started to prepare for the base for the bleachers, and walkthroughs have been held with the tech team to coordinate the installation for the press box and some of the new features that we're bringing. So back to August. I talked through the elementary school. At the high school stadium, we'll continue on the field bleachers and the new pathways in preparation for completion in September. And then the technology team will begin the installation in preparation for reopening the stadium. Some of the critical project items we're tracking right now: securing the final permit approvals from Wayne County. I think we've talked through that a couple different times. It's been a big focus of the team. Continuing to monitor the ongoing construction costs and escalations and supply chain issues. We haven't had issues currently, but we're still tracking them. And then coordinating with the schools to continue normal operations during construction. We've been having meetings with principals, trying to inform staff and the principals what the school is going to look like when the return to school in the fall. And then I just have some pictures. We have a new scoreboard being installed. I have the building pad for the elementary school. And then you can see some of the interior demolition progress. And then I have two shots of the high school field. Right now it looks like a lot of demolition, but there is a lot of progress being made. And hopefully in the coming months you'll see some of the more pretty stuff happening. So any questions on the dashboard? All right.
All right, thank you so much.
It might not be on the dashboard, but on the bid package later in the presentation, maybe this is more of on a forecast. How are our projected costs versus our budgeted costs going? I mean, I know we've had, since the bond was floated and with COVID, we had a huge spike in costs.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those projected costs, when we did the bond and the budget, are not really there. I mean, how are we looking? Because, I mean, looking at Meridian, Grosse Ile Elementary, we're at right now about 15% over budget.
Right.
I mean, for the remaining of that, if I were to isolate Grosse Ile Elementary, are we looking for completion on that within the projected future budget?
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit more in detail after the recommendation, but we are tracking those costs. We have most of the project bought out. We have tech items that we're working with Chase to go through the details. We took advantage of some E-rate purchasing, so there are some we'll have to take some items out that were purchased for the high school, middle school, and then the elementary school at the same time. So we're working through those details with him. We're carrying that cost in the budget that I'll review later. And then we have some general athletic items that we haven't bid out because we're still working with DiMaria to figure out what the best way to procure those are. There's not one company that does,
Sorry if I jumped the question, I didn't know if this was the time to ask those questions.
Yeah, no, I'll go through the whole budget and just do a quick snapshot of Grosse Ile Elementary. But I mean, for the overall program right now, we've identified a lot of areas in the future programs where we feel that we have extra money just from being conservative. We have not cut any bond promises out of any of the budgets right now as we cover some of the budget overages on Grosse Ile Elementary. So right now, we still feel that we can, fulfill everything in the bond.
Well, that's a good segue for our information and discussion, and maybe we can talk about the roofing packages and the rest of the information that you have for us.
Yeah, so I'll do the roofing package and then I'll give a quick budget snapshot for
Perfect.
the whole project.
Thank you.
So after we've talked about the roof a lot over the last couple months, I think we went through 2 or 3 months of investigation into the roof, presenting potential options, what the best option for the district is. Once we made that decision, we did go out to bid. We received 5 proposals in the 2 different bid categories for the roof at Grosse Ile Elementary. And then we did come in slightly under budget for it. The hard construction would be $2,432,190. And then the CM fees and costs would be $72,489. And we are carrying a construction contingency of $243,219 for a total award recommendation of $2,747,898. This would be detailed in an amendment to DiMaria's current contract. Some items to note, the contingency on this has been, we bumped it up to 10% on the hard construction, just given that the roof, there are still some unknowns with all of the investigation we did. We just want to have a little bit extra cushion on this particular part of it. So we went with 10% instead of the typical 7% that we've been on the other recommendations. Any questions on the initial? We did recognize some savings. We were able to award to the low bidder for both categories was the same contractor. We had an alternate in that for savings, so we were able to save some money, about $36,000 by using the same contractor. It is a contractor that's done other roofs in the district. They have a great history with DiMaria and with the district. So, any questions on the initial recommendation package?
I do have one question. I think I understand this, but just for clarification, this is replacing those like green or blue whatever that color is right now.
So currently your roof is a standing seam metal roof. We're going back and essentially replacing each panel in kind.
Okay.
So it'll look the same, different color,
Okay.
same roof profile.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to make sure, because I know we had talked about painting or, putting a coat of
Yes.
color on there.
Yeah, we're replacing all the panels. You'll have a full roof warranty. So I think it's a great option, and we ended up coming in under budget, so.
That's great. Okay.
That's J.D. Candler, that's who we awarded this to?
Yes, that is the contractor that was the low bidder.
All right.
Any other questions on that?
Robin, do you have the budget snapshot? Yeah. So this is a similar format as to what I've presented to you previously. Simplified it a little bit since we don't have all the different options for the roofing package.
The board has it in front of them as well, Colin.
Okay, all right, so we'll get started. So at the top, you can see we have the DD estimate. That was the estimate we reviewed in November. When we knew that, you know, the project was going to be over budget, we came up with solutions to fund it. And we kind of agreed that that's what we're going to compare it to moving forward. We knew we weren't going to meet exactly what the PQ application said. This is what we said. This is what we think it's going to be. So moving forward from there. DBC GMP Amendment 1 is the first bid package that we came and recommended. DBC GMP Amendment 2 is the second bid package that we came back and we rebid some categories to capture some of these value engineering items that we talked about. That came in good. This is an updated number from the last sheet. You can also see the contingency there. And then DBC GMP Amendment 3 is the roofing specifically. You can see it came in at the number that we talked about. Under budget. Previously, we had thought it was going to be about $3 million conservatively. And then future bid packages, which John, I think you were talking about, is what we have remaining to bid out is the general athletics package. We're holding a number for tech from the technology consultant, which we think is a conservative number. And then we have the general athletics package in there as well.
So if I were to look at this, Colin, so approximately 20.4 million is all for Groseal Elementary that we
Yes.
budgeted for and what we're currently projecting. So what's in that future bid package besides technology? Is there anything, I mean, what else is in that $800,000 and $900,000?
It's technology and general athletics. So it's, you know, the outdoor basketball hoops, the padding in the gym, benches, stuff like that. So it's a real small scope item.
In other words, as to the elementary school, give or take, we're 95% in with fixed costs and done.
Yes. There's the furniture that we are working on procuring. That's been a separate budget. We've always carried that as a separate budget. We take that out of the hard construction. It's just procured differently. So I can't say that there's nothing else that we're going to buy for Groseal Elementary.
No. I'm
But hard
asking for
construction.
Construction
yes.
costs.
Yes.
I mean, is for furniture and things like that, that would pose the same question. I mean, do we think we can anticipate without a material change in scope, fulfilling our promises to the community with the furniture that we bid on?
Yes, we're working with vendors. We'll give them the budget that we have. We'll tell them the scope. They'll, you know, suggest the specific items. We'll buy off consortium pricing. Where there's a few different options that we're reviewing right now, and when we get the design and everything, we'll have those conversations with you. So.
But at this point, we don't anticipate any material scope restrictions.
No. So I give you a subtotal for Groseal Elementary, and then I show, you know, the budget overage compared to the DD estimate. So we have $1.4 million that we're over budget. Then we looked back at a couple of other things. We set aside some money in permanent utilities for a transformer upgrade. We had a meeting with DTE way early in the project. We don't need to upgrade the transformer. We're capturing that money, putting it back into the hard construction. Escalation costs, we originally had this project planned over, you know, coming back over the 3 series of the bond. When you get into series 3, there's significant escalation costs that we planned for. We went back, we looked at all the costs associated in our escalation contingency that were associated specifically with Park Lane, pulled those out, put them into the Park Lane budget. So we didn't take anything from the middle school, high school, admin building, anything like that. It was all items that were specifically for Groseal Elementary. So then I have a $505,000, $542. That's an exact number to make the budget line up. So when we knew that this budget was going to be over budget, we took the team, we walked the middle school, we walked the high school with the PQ app. We looked at the different scope items, and we identified some items that were still in really good shape. I mean, specifically that comes to mind is the high school bathrooms. We are not taking all of that money we have dedicated to high school bathrooms or any other scope item. We're looking at it and saying we can do a good refresh of this bathroom and not completely gut and renovate these bathrooms and still accomplish the goals. And maybe we look at, you know, the special bathrooms where there's events for the basketball. We do something a little bit more in there, spend a little bit more in there. But every bathroom in the building, we can still refresh with the budget there. And we looked at a bunch of different items. We have a list of them. I can't come up with them all off the top of my head, but we found a significant amount of money that we can go back to. We don't need it right now, but we know that there's the cushion that we need. So that's how we plan to cover this $1.4 million overage. Trying to see if there, so this does put us in a slightly better situation than what we communicated previously. I think previously we had shown $625,000 that we needed to cover extra on top of the transformer and the escalation costs. So we did come in, better with this roofing package. So that's kind of a snapshot of the budget right now. Any questions?
Okay,
All right, thank you, everyone.
thanks so much for being here.
Of course.
All right, we are going to move on to the high school kitchen equipment purchase, and I'm going to ask Mike to join us at the podium for this.
Good evening, everyone. So I am here to talk about the purchase of 2 new kitchen equipment items at the high school, that being a combi oven and a tilt skillet. So these are items that were already slated to be replaced further down in the bond, but due to aging and equipment malfunctions, we're replacing them earlier. So the money was already earmarked for that. So we are replacing our current steamer that we have and 2 kettles that we have with a combi unit, which it has multiple cooking applications. You can steam, you can bake in it, has a larger capacity, and then the tilt skillet is going to replace the 2 kettles that are there. So basically what we had, it was an older system, and it was a boiler-fed steamer that we would have to have inspected every year by the state of Michigan because it's a boiler. So we'd have a contractor come in, have to take it apart, get it inspected, put it back together. So this will be a much more efficient electrical equipment that we're using. So we won't have to have it inspected every year. So we'll have some cost savings there as well. So the money from this, first of all, it's being purchased through HPS, our buying consortium, who works with Great Lakes Food Service Equipment. And the funding for it, $30,000 is going to come out of the food service fund, and the balance of that will come out of the bond. So, anybody have any questions at all? Okay. All right. Thank you all.
All right, we're going to move on to the board committee reports, and Jeff, can I ask you to talk about buildings and grounds?
Building and Grounds met on Tuesday, July 9th, and I'd like to thank Colin for pretty much telling the whole story of Building and Grounds. So we did talk about the roofing and some of the construction to which he showed on the dashboard, stuff within Park Lane, how the updates and that's coming along. But the main thing that we did is we did take a tour of the high school football field and got to see firsthand, we saw the work being done, the concrete coming out where the stands used to be, the bleachers, thank you. And we also saw the new lighting that was up, the new LED lighting as they were working on that. They were working on the field itself, which is, one of the great savings that we've been able to do is work with DTE, and a lot of that dirt is already being used, and that saves us in the costs, removal of that dirt working with DTE, so that we got to see happening. The posts for the new scoreboard were just put in, and we got to see the rise in it, and because the new posts are much larger to accommodate the new scoreboard, it is a much larger scoreboard, so we got to see that happening. So we got a good tour of the actual grounds and as it was moving forward, and we got to just take that opportunity to take a look at it, and that was a great opportunity to see that just firsthand, and it's a lot different going to see it than just seeing pictures, so.
It's different to walk it than just drive by and praise.
Yep. That's it.
Thank you. Katie, can you talk to us about Finance Committee?
Yep. So Finance Committee met on Thursday, July 11th. The first thing we covered was a bond series update from PFM. So Carrie Blanchett took us through how we can fund our future bond series in the most beneficial ways and how it could positively impact cash flow for us. So that presentation was also shared with the whole board, and I think she'll take us through that before we determine the path forward. But some potential savings and some potential to have costs or to have cash earlier in the process than we had originally looked at. Colin also took us through that construction update and the roofing bids and some of the updates with where we are in Wayne County permitting and some of the unfortunately negative impact to the schedule at Park Lane as we await those permits being finalized. And then Mike went through the same kitchen equipment that we will, that he just reviewed and we'll vote on tonight. So that was it.
Great, thank you. All right, we will move on to consent grouping. Can I get a motion, please?
I move that the Grosse Ile Township Schools Board of Education approve the consent grouping items as presented.
Support.
And this is the payment of the bills for the period of June 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2024 in the amount of $1,564,186.69, as well as the approval of the June 25th regular meeting, the June 27th special meeting, the May 21st special meeting, and the May 21st closed session.
Any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to action items, and the first thing that we have is a personnel update. Can I get a motion, please?
I move that the, go ahead.
Move that the Roseville Township School Board of Education approve the personnel update as presented.
Support.
We have some transfers. Deborah Holbrook is full-time custodian, Karen Feldman, a high school counselor, and Justin Tromka, new executive director. We also have a retirement of Derek Krumslowski. And I would like to say a few things about Derek, 'cause I think Derek's one of our superstars. I think he's been, a mainstay for that school, that age. He's always even keel, brings his best every day. He's well respected in his building, he's well respected by this board. And we really want to thank him for his time, definitely, yeah.
I would also like to thank Derek for his service. I had two of my kiddos in his class, and it was just a wonderful experience. They did so good in his class, so big appreciation to him.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to third Derek Kraslamski. He's just phenomenal. The thing that was really special about Derek, or is special about Derek, is he never lost his enthusiasm for teaching, right up until the end of this year. So that's kind of a rare sight and very special. He loved teaching and he loved kids. So he's one of the reasons my oldest son went into education. So
There you go, yeah.
Well, I'll reach out and say something, but not about Derek. I will just say congratulations to Justin. It's the panel of candidates, all four were very qualified, highly qualified, but Justin came in and stole the show. His passion, his integrity, his vision for the future was unmatched. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
and of course, Justin, we congratulate you, right?
Absolutely.
But you're going to be missed at the middle school. You made such great strides.
Yes, that's very true. Good point.
You've done great things there, and we're very excited to see what you're going to
Better things yet to come.
Yeah. Well, let's officially vote, so. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, great, motion carries.
I think he should have to say a few.
I was gonna say the same thing.
He even dressed up in a suit today.
I'll have to do it, Justin.
No, seriously, thank you so much. I am honored, I'm humbled to be serving this new position, this new executive director position. I can't wait to, being already a member of the team, but really being with you guys day in, day out, being Audrey's right-hand person, that support. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the future, and I'm really excited about just serving the community. I love it here. I've been here pretty much since I was 19 years old, in and out, so I'm thrilled, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, well done.
All right, we will move on to the Grosse-Ile Elementary roofing package. Can I get a motion, please?
I move that the Grosse Ile Township Schools Board of Education approve the bid package as presented.
Support.
And this is for the standing seam roofing and the membrane roofing, both to J.D. Candler, for a total of $2,504,679.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. We'll move on to the high school kitchen equipment. Can I have a motion, please?
Move that the Grosse Ile Township Schools Board of Education approves the proposal for the purchase of the aforementioned equipment for the high school kitchen as presented.
Support.
Thank you to Mike for presenting on the combi ovens for a total cost of $62,459.28.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. All right, we will move on to the elementary principal MOU. Can I get a motion, please?
I move that the Grosse Ile Township Schools Board of Education approves the MOU as presented.
Support.
I need to read this.
If you can, please.
All right, the preamble and purpose of this MOU are as follows. Whereas the district and the association are parties to a collective bargaining agreement dated July 1st, 2023. Bargaining agreement. Whereas the CBA expires on June 30th, 2025, and whereas the CBA includes a salary schedule in Appendix A. Whereas the parties desire to add a new position to the bargaining group elementary assistant principal.
Thank you. So this essentially is creating an elementary assistant principal position.
Yes, with the resignation of Lindsay Parsons, Park Lane principal, and knowing that we will be merging our two buildings into one in just 1 year. Next year, Nicole Garza will serve as the principal of Meridian and Park Lane Elementary, and we will have an assistant principal that oversees Meridian and Park Lane Elementary as well, knowing that they will merge into one building, Grosse Ile Elementary, the following school year.
Great, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. All right, we will move on to our superintendent update.
All right, good evening, everyone. I just have a few short updates today. I just want to begin by addressing conversation that I'm hearing in the community regarding our athletic trainer. And I know many of you are concerned that she has recently resigned. I just want to let the community know that rest assured, as soon as we found out that information, we began speaking with other third parties to replace her. She is currently under a third-party contract, and we are actively working to replace our athletic trainer, knowing that that position is so important to our athletes, and it's something that we certainly commit to continue and have in place for our kids as soon as possible. So I wanted to make sure that the community was aware of that. And then to share some gratitude in our district, I just wanted to give appreciation right now over the summer. When all of our kiddos leave, that's when our custodians and our maintenance department kick it into high gear. So I want to extend gratitude to our custodial team for their dedication and hard work over the summer to get our buildings in tip-top shape. They're working very, very diligently in their buildings and often amongst construction, and that can be a challenge. In addition, I want to give a sincere thank you to our maintenance department, who's committed to maintaining our outdoor areas. It is hot. It is not an easy job in the sunshine during the day, so I wanted to give them thanks as well. And then also acknowledge all of our folks that are working on construction in and around our buildings and on all of our bond projects to make our schools beautiful and wonderful, inviting places for our students. So as we approach the new school year, I just want to extend thanks to everyone working behind the scenes. The work continues as we get ready for our kids. Thank you.
And thank you to everyone doing that work. All right, we are going to move into closed session for collective bargaining strategy. Can I get a motion, please?
I move that we move into closed session per MCL 15.268C for collective bargaining strategy.
Okay, and I'll do a roll call.
Yes.
Support it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I support it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
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 All right, we will move into closed session then. Thank you, everyone.